Well, it's another windy day. Not quite as breezy. But according to our local interactive wildfire map, we have a nice fresh forest fire started just up the valley. And you can't see up the valley because of the smoke. So I think I'll just put it off for another day, this little fishing trip. And what's that other thing that I do? Yeah, do some painting. Well, glad I didn't go. It's just getting worse. The mountains pretty much disappeared now, which means the lake is gone as well. So do you remember this little guy? I was happy with it. I finished it. You know, I decided that was good. It was interesting. And then I lived with it for a while and some things began to niggle at me. And I think that I ended up putting a little too many details in it. You know, it's only a, what is this? 10 by 12? Yeah, 10 by 12. So it's not very big, and this is so simple, this area. The clouds are fairly simple. The sort of the area of interest is this band across the center of it. So I felt the balance top and bottom out better would be just to keep this simple. I had a bit of a bush coming down here. You know, it had the effect of, you know, your eye would spill from here to here to here and then off, and that was good, but I think really the details that I put in it may have been suited better to a larger canvas. So I've darkened all this now. I had a bit of a distant field showing just above this horizon line, well actually just above this ridge line. I did away with that. More detail gone. These trees I felt I could shape better in a more interesting fashion than I did at first. So I've done that now. I'm happy with it. I really only have to put a few strokes of paint in this bush and only a few strokes in the foreground. If I screw that up again, it will be because I will focus too much on putting more detail in there again. It only needs several broader, stronger brush strokes to finish it. I hope that's going to be an improvement. It was, to me, it was this close to being worth sending to a gallery. I need to close that gap because there's enough good stuff here that if I do this right, I think it'll be worth shipping off. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. So I've replaced a lot of the green here with a colder green. I had been using ultramarine blue, a bit of yellow ochre. Now it's pretty much all cobalt blue and burnt sienna and white. Just hints of yellow ochre. Not much though, very little. Because I wanted to cool everything off. When something's in the shade, sun hasn't really quite hit the horizon, your colors are usually cooler, and I had fairly warm field in here. So keeping with that theme, I'm going to stay cool in here. I'm going to put on a few brush strokes of, well, we're going to use ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and probably adding raw umber in spots, and in other spots adding yellow ochre. Just bits of it. The yellow ochre will serve to warm it up a tad, but keep it cool. The raw umber will take away the strength of color of the ultramarine blue and the alizarin crimson. Let's play with that. Well, let's see what we have here. not too red. Yeah, if I'm going to go that route, I'm only going to have a few streaks in it. So we're going to add some ultramarine blue to that. Dark and dirty. Yeah, okay. Hint of white. I'm painting over that other layer of paint which was dry, so we have a little bit of texture to contend with. Not a big deal. Just going to go right across the entire painting with that color. If it were a bright, strong color, I wouldn't do that. But it's all kind of toned down. To me it looks pretty dark right now, and that's okay. I can lighten it. I can lighten it, but making it darker, you tend to get your paint dirty then. It tends to muddy things up. Okay. Alright, now we'll switch to a little bigger brush. What was I just using? Is that a number 2? Nope, number 4. And a 6. Now I'm going to go a little bluer. And might seem strange, but I'm actually going darker. I'm going to be very dark in certain areas. We're going to dip into the top stroke a little bit with this blue, just to break it up a little. Okay, more ultramarine blue. And to that we're going to add raw umber. Bear in mind, I'm just adding to the same pile here the whole time. A little more raw umber. Okay, I'm overlapping the blue that I just put in above it. Going with fairly broad strokes. across as well, more or less. More or less a straight edge. Not really, but sort of. Okay, more raw umber. We're really going to the gray now. I had a bit of texture under it, under what I'm painting now. So to get rid of that, I just slowed my stroke down. That helped to, and also if you go in the opposite direction, it helps to remove that a little bit. Leave a bit of a deep, dark streak there for the moment. So, you know, I didn't do a lot. Really all I did was subdue it. But I like it already better. It's the simplicity here, you know, the horizontal lines repeat the horizontal lines that are here. The simplicity of the upper half is repeated in the lower bit. And the interest remains between the moon, you know, the odd break in clouds, and these bushes. So, simplifying, simplifying, simplifying. On a small painting, you definitely want to bear that in mind. Now I'm going to have a look at it and have a think about it. You know, typically when you're looking at the sky during the daytime, and then you're going to try to represent that on a painting, well, I think a lot of people will tend to use cobalt blue towards the horizon, and then as you start to look up higher and higher and higher, and by the time you're looking above you, straight above you, the sky, a clear blue sky, is actually darker and deeper looking because you're looking through less atmosphere. So, in this case, it's the reverse, because the moon is setting and right behind us the sun is rising. So as the sun rises, the atmosphere, the humidity in the atmosphere, dust particles, particulates, what have you, begin to pick up those sun rays, and the sky actually becomes darker by the horizon. Doesn't last long, but that's kind of interesting. I kind of like that about this painting. I really like this. You know, it was so simple, so easy. It's pretty much 3 bands, loosely placed. I may still put just a hint of a highlight well, somewhere probably on the upper part of it. I'm going to be signing this one again. I'll be signing it on the lower right. And it's going to be, I'm just going to use whatever, burnt sienna and ultramarine blue to make a very dark signature. I don't want it standing out. And I don't want it on the left-hand side because it starts to line up too much with this. And you know, if you're looking at an axis, there's this, and your focal area is here. So, okay. Just want to get back to the reason that I made this all dark and I made it simple. Content is good in a painting, but if there's too much content, it becomes clutter. I felt that this one was cluttered. So if you put, if you can put as much as you need but no more than you need content efficiently and economically placed in a painting, that will give you the strongest piece of work. All right, it's going to get, I don't think anymore. I think it's time to just leave it alone. Let what's there speak for itself. Simple little painting. I lightened the field just adjacent to that bush in the distance a little bit. So, a signature on the lower right, and then, yeah, no, I'm happy with it. Finally. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.